Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Rich and I work in IT support, and I'm documenting my journey to go all the way from IT support to network engineer, the highs, the lows, what I'm studying and all that sort of stuff. Today I'm going to be doing Linux. Linux for somebody who is in a similar position, help desk or IT support, wanting to level up. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because I think Linux is everywhere. And we get a lot of sort of focus on doing certifications for routing and switching and how the network works. But yeah, what if you come face to face with a Linux server and you're a little bit like, not quite sure. So that's why I thought I would make the video. I'm not a Linux professional, but I've just been dabbling with it every single day. My work environment was quite Windows heavy. Everyone was on Windows, and I thought, maybe I could like try and be the Linux guy. So I put Linux as my main operating system on my work PC, and I spent sort of every day in the terminal just poking around, then started deploying a few Linux servers on virtual machines and started also attending faults on Linux servers. So I got quite interested in, this command does this command does that. So I've just put together some basic commands running a Linux virtual machine on my MacBook, and I thought we could go through them together. So let's go. Hey guys, welcome to my MacBook running a virtual Linux machine. Now what you're staring at here is a Linux virtual machine. I've actually got it running on this program called UTM, which is like a hypervisor for Mac. So if you want to download that and run virtual machines on your MacBook, there'll be loads of videos on how to do that. So this is Linux server, and you can see we've got my profile on here. Now, traditionally with Linux server, you don't get a graphical user interface, you just get a command line. However, I've downloaded a graphical user interface on this one, so it's like a Windows home screen. So let's log into it. Right. And also guys, don't panic, take it easy with Linux, because don't worry about that, that's going to resolve itself very soon. It's just because it's a virtual machine and it's running on my MacBook. Yeah, there we go. So we're on the Linux sort of desktop homepage. What I was saying with Linux guys, don't worry about, getting panicked and stuff like that. Once you start to figure things out, it actually becomes quite enjoyable. Like, I enjoy having Linux. I enjoy when there's a problem with Linux, because I feel like, actually I know a few commands just to navigate and get myself around, and I understand the file structure, which is a key thing to take away. But this is just going to be basic commands for IT support. So we're not going to go super deep, but just make sure you're all over these. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into the terminal. Like I said, on a lot of Linux servers, this is the only thing you will see. So understanding the file structure is quite important. First thing we're going to do is some basic commands for the user and the host information. So if you are like, hey, go and check that server out, we need some information on it, you can just run a few commands. So who am I? Yep, okay, I'm logged in as Rich. That was pretty obvious because you saw it at the beginning. And host name. Wrong, you see that? Hot's name. Host name. So we're on a machine called Linux Server 01. We can check how long it's been running for with the word uptime. And we can also add a user as well. So the way we can add a user is only root may add a user. So this is like a permissions thing. It's saying basically only the root user may add somebody. So the way we can do that is actually put sudo in front of it. Okay, I just did it there. So sudo add user student. Look, sometimes it just takes a bit of playing around. So we'll go student, we'll just put password as password for the student, retype the password, and it's going to ask us some information. I'm just going to go enter on that, enter, yes, that's correct. Brilliant, so we've now got a user called student. Now to get to the top of the terminal and clear all this mess, we can either press Control-C or Control-L, or the word clear. So if I press clear, There we go, takes us back to the top. Control L will do the same thing. Now I'm going to talk about file structure because this is going to help you understand a little bit about navigating through the folders. As I say, this is going to be the most important thing to understand. So let's just have a look at where we actually are on this terminal. And when I say where we actually are, I mean like what folder, what directory are we in? So if we go pwd, this is where we are. We're in home/rich. Now let's say we want to change directory into like documents or somewhere and explore a little bit. What we can do is we can press the word ls, which is basically like list. And you can see within the directory that we're in, rich, we've got desktop directory, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public. So you can see those, hopefully, because they are a little bit poor with the color that they've decided to do this in. So let's say we want to go into the documents directory. So we go change directory and documents. And we're in documents, and we can check that by printing the working directory to see where we are. And we're in documents, and then we can list everything in the documents. ls. Now there's actually nothing there. So maybe we could make a directory in the documents directory, and we can do that by mkdir, and we can call this, let's just call it student PC usernames. Just thinking of like a real, semi-real sort of scenario. And we can press enter on that. And now let's list the directory to see if it's there. Yeah, we've got student PC usernames, fantastic. Now let's go into it. Okay, so change directory again, and we go student. And sometimes when you've written enough of the actual directory you're trying to get into, and it's kind of sometimes the only one there, or it's got a unique name, we can just press tab, and Linux knows what we're after. So, and we're inside that document, that directory, so we can print working directory. Yep, and see that we're in there. Look at that, great. Now let's make a document. So a way we can make a document is, there's a few different ways, lots of different ways to skin a cat in Linux, but one way that I do it is Nano, which is like a text editor, and then we'll just write the document name, and we'll just call it usernames.txt. And it actually sends us into that document now where we can write our usernames. So we'll just go student 01, username 01. Would help if we spelled student right. Student 02-02. And then we can save and exit out of this. So a way to save, we can follow these commands on the bottom, but I just know if we press Control O, and it's asking us to write the file name to the name that we've chosen, or do we want to change it? And we'll say yes, so we'll go enter on that, and we'll go Control X. Sweet. So if we go back into that document, Nano, in fact, let's list the directory first. So we can list it. Yeah, we've got a file there, and we can go Nano usernames. There we go. That's our file. So we'll go out of that. And then we want to go back one directory. So we want to go back one step. We just press CD ... and it's taken us back to documents. And the reason why we do that is because if we go back into our student, if we just press CD, it actually takes us right back to the beginning. Right back to the beginning. So that CD ... command is very useful. Now let's talk about removing files and removing directories. Let's say we want to get rid of our student usernames. Just to give you a bit of context, okay? If we go into our graphical user interface, which we shouldn't do because we're trying to get used to the command line, we'll go documents. See, this is the folder that we've made, the directory that we've made, student PC usernames, and this is that document that we made. So if we just open that, there we go, fantastic. Let's say we want to actually delete those though. And we can do that by a few commands. So first we want to get there. So we want to go CD, documents, Oh, hang on, let's go CD home. I'm just going to go to the top of the page because we're running out of space. List that, we'll go to, oh, here we go. So we want to delete our student PC usernames directory. Or actually, should we delete the folder into the text file inside it first? So we'll go CD, yep, and we'll list it. There we go. So we want to delete that. Okay, so delete that. We're going to go RM, which is remove file. And we're going to go usernames.txt. Now we're going to list it, and it's gone. It's not there anymore. Now let's say we want to delete student PC usernames folder because there's nothing in it anymore. So we go back one, and we go RM. Now if that had files in it and we did want to delete it, we would add -r, and we would say students PC usernames, list the documents, and we can see it's gone. So that's how we can create, remove, delete, all that sort of stuff. Now we're going to go on to some basic networking commands on the Linux machine. So let's go back to the beginning. An important thing to remember here is etc, the etc directory. So cd/etc, list that. This is like your control panel on Windows. We're all familiar with the control panel of Windows. It's got all the sort of applications on there to change things, settings, all that sort of stuff. I would say etc is like your control panel. So it's where a lot of those sorts of things live, things to do with the network. Here we can see the net plan. So the network is what we're going to look at here, and we're going to do a few commands. So if we just Control L out of there, and we stay in the etc, there we go, we're in etc, we're actually going to look for the net plan. Now we can do this by listing everything, and we can see we've got net plan here. So if we Control L out of that and we go CD, and it gives us a few options. If we press tab, we go net plan, ls, and we've got a YAML file here which is looking like our network configuration. So we'll go sudo, because we're going to need permission to view this, nano 50, enter, and here we have our network interface, and we can see that it's set to DHCP. So this is what you might see on your net plan. I would probably say that you might see a static IP address configuration, so it's going to look a little bit different. However, it's quite human readable. You'll see the network interface, you'll see whether DHCP is set, you'll see the IP address, you'll see DNS, and you can go in and change this. Obviously, I've changed this loads of times when setting up a Linux server on a virtual machine. Really easy. So we'll just Control X out of there, and we'll just go back to our home directory, and we're just going to press to check the IP address. I know on Windows it's ifconfig. Here we can type IPA. Boom, there we go. So we get quite a bit of information. However, this is our network interface, and this is our IP address. If we go IP root, gives us a bit more information. The default gateway. So we're going, all the traffic's going via 192.168.64.1. Fantastic. If we want to ping something, it's the same as if we were in Windows. So we'll ping 8.8.8.8. And we can see that we're getting a reply back. So I'll Control L to get out of that, go back to the top. Let's see if we can ping my MacBooks. Ping 10.0.0.136. And would you look at that, we get a reply. Fantastic. Now we can do a trace route, so we can watch the hops that it takes to get to my MacBook. So, oops, hang on. 10.0.0.136. Oh, we can see that traceroute package is not installed. So this is a great example of where you might just need to install something. Look, it's telling us what to do there. So here we go, guys. This is a perfect example of installing a package. Linux is really good because it won't install everything unless it comes to like the stage where you need it. Then it will say, oh, you need this. So just Control L again, and we'll go. There we go. It's just done it straight away. So we can see that we have just gone one hop straight to my MacBook. Fantastic. Now we're going to look at services so we can see what's running on our Linux machine. So if we type in the word top, it gives us this great table here. However, it's not very readable in my opinion. So if we just Control C out of that and then Control L, we can press H top. H often means like put things in a humanly like readable format, and that is a lot nicer. So we can see we've got loads of different things running on here. If we open up, let's open up Firefox and set off a couple of browsers, a couple of YouTubes, Wikipedia, buy something on Temu, start a video. Let's go back to, yep, here you can see, guys, you can see Firefox here, Firefox here, Firefox here, and we can actually kill these processes as well if we press F10 like it says down here. So we just press, let's just click on one of these actually, F10, oh, in fact F9, sorry, so it's F9. So I think we might have just quit out of there, and let's see if we can still do it, F9, right, yep, okay, sweet, we just killed it, and we can see in the background that Firefox has just ended. So really useful. That's like Task Manager in Windows if you need to kill something. And have a look at the journals, so, or the logs we should say. So journal CTL. Now this is going to be like logs back from like forever if you just put like journal CTL, but I really like this command because say we've got a problem and it happened yesterday. One thing that I do a lot is journal CTL -- since yesterday, or you can actually put in the time. Now a great little trick here is if you're not sure on what sort of things to add to your command, just put the word man in front of it and it brings up the manual for that command, so it will give you all the sort of like possibilities. If we go back though, and like I said, journal -- since yesterday, it's going to give us the logs since yesterday, and I think that's really good because a lot of time I'll spacebar down, find the time, and I'll be like, oh yeah, it did run or it didn't run that job. Oh, this is the issue. So really, really useful. Q to quit that, and Control L to go back to the top. We can also have a quick look at the usage on our machine. So if we type in free-h, that's going to give our current memory usage. And then if we tap down and we press df-h, again, the H is giving it us in a readable format. That's our disk space usage. So that is really good. Now to update the system, because that is something that does solve a lot of problems that I found, and giving it a good update and a reboot. If we go sudo, because we need permission to do that, apt update, it's going to look for all the updates available and it's going to work its way through. Okay, we can see that it's done that, and now to finish off we're going to go sudo apt and upgrade. I found that people forget about this one, but this is actually installing the available updates, and that's going to work its way through it. Fantastic, so it's actually done, and we'll go Control L to get to the top. Now guys, those are the commands that I would say are going to be really useful for making folders, navigating in and out of directories, checking what services are running, killing the services that you might need to kill, rebooting, installing packages, and also looking at some of the basic network configuration as well. To finish things off, we can do a sudo reboot, and that will reboot, restart the entire machine. Right guys, that's just some basic Linux commands that I use as somebody who's in IT support. Now, I do go into it in a bit more detail, to be honest with you, in my day-to-day job. Like I said, I'm not a Linux professional, but I thought I would just share some of the day-to-day commands that I use for Linux. And building on those just builds your confidence, and also I think you start to enjoy it. So maybe you could be the Linux guy in your team. Right, I will see you on the next video.